You won't see a deadline as wild as this year's for a long time.
Historic trade deadline here. 26 players traded in season. That's the most in the past quarter century.
With all those blockbuster deals now behind us, how about we take a look at 5 winners and 5 losers of the 2025 NFL trade deadline. Winner, New York Jets. Alright, let's start off with the obvious, shall we? Realizing that this roster was just downright terrible and not good enough to build around, GM Darren Mucci decided to trade out 2 of his 3 most valuable cornerstone pieces. And boy did he score a king's ransom in return. Mucci's first blockbuster was shipping out all-pro cornerback Sauce Gardner to the Indianapolis Colts. Then he got the Dallas Cowboys to overpay for veteran defensive tackle Quinnen Williams. So over the next 2 drafts, the Jets now have 5 first-round picks and 2 second-round selections. That, folks, is how you load up for the rebuild. Trading Gardner and Williams also puts them in a position to finish out as a nice tank job to secure the number 1 pick. Loser, Dallas Cowboys. If the Cowboys were in the playoff mix, we would understand Jerry Jones' win-now approach here. But alas, he made 2 win-now moves in a year where his team won't come close to sniffing the postseason. Seriously, what is the logic here? Why didn't he go all in previous years when the Cowboys were constantly winning double-digit games and in the playoff race? Williams is one of the league's best defensive tackles and all, but it's not a position that moves the needle that much. We're not talking about an Aaron Donald or Chris Jones-like interior lineman here. The second rounder they gave up to the Jets could be a top 40 pick, and would anybody really be surprised if the 2027 first rounder ended up being a top 10 selection as well? Look, we're fine with the trade for Logan Wilson, who only cost Dallas a 2026 7th round pick. Dallas had a 3-5-1 record when they made the trade for Williams. He and Wilson alone will not fix this horrific defense. Only time will tell if Jerry was right, but we're sure most Dallas fans would have felt more at ease if Jones had never made the move for Williams in the first place and had just retained his draft capital. Winner, Sauce Gardner. The main reason the Gardner trade to Indy was so shocking was that the Jets had just given him a 4-year deal worth $120.4 million in the summer. You don't make a player the highest paid ever at his position with the plan of trading him that same year. But hey, we doubt Gardner has any complaints. He was one of the few bright spots on the Jets over his 3.5 seasons there. Former Jets All-Pro cornerback Darrelle Revis got out of there just in time to win a Super Bowl ring with the New England Patriots. Unfortunately, Gardner won't have any more of his prime years wasted in Gotham. The league's best cornerback of the last 4 years now gets to play for a winner in the Indianapolis Colts. Their defense has been lights out under first-year defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo. The sky is the ceiling for this group with a 5-star shutdown corner leading the secondary now. Get out of a toxic losing environment and play for one of the AFC's top dogs with a wide-open Super Bowl window? Hey, I don't know, maybe Gardner should order some extra sauce on his pasta and pizza in order to celebrate. Loser, Tennessee Titans. On a day where bottom feeder clubs like the Jets and Saints secured much-needed extra draft picks, the Titans stood by and did absolutely nothing of significance to bolster their draft capital.
See that, boy? Why aren't you making any business deals?
I'll do it this afternoon.
There was speculation that the number 1 wide receiver Calvin Ridley, linebacker Arden Key, and nose tackle Tavondre Sweat would be available. All-pro defensive tackle Jeffrey Simmons and 1,000-yard rusher Tony Pollard were floated as potential trade candidates too. Look, the Titans are a horrible football team with these players. Why not follow the Jets model and just trade away whichever notable players you could for extra draft picks? But all GM Mike Bergonzi could muster was dealing cornerback Roger McCreary to the Los Angeles Rams for a swap of late-round picks. Veteran linebacker Draymond Jones, having a rock-solid season in Music City, was sent to the Baltimore Ravens for the low price of a conditional 5th-round pick. Ridley, Pollard, and Key aren't part of the long-term future and could have gotten decent hauls for Tennessee. Whatever. Seasons change, but the Titans' awful management sure doesn't. Winner, Jacoby Meyers. Meyers requested a trade from the Las Vegas Raiders before the start of the season, but GM John Spytek refused to honor his wish. Chalk this one up as a classic case of better late than never. On deadline day, the struggling Raiders gave in and shipped Meyers to the Jacksonville Jaguars for 4th and 6th round draft picks. For starters, a guy is always a winner if he's traded from a bottom feeder to a playoff contender. But Meyers, who's in his contract year by the way, was having a bit of a down year in Vegas. Not ideal, considering he hit the 1,000-yard mark for the first time in his career last year, but Meyers was not going to see a spike in production with Brock Bowers and Ashton Genty leading the offense. Now, he gets the clear-cut opportunity to step up as Trevor Lawrence's number 1 receiver. The Jaguars had to to put two-way star Travis Hunter on the IR with a knee injury, and Brian Thomas Jr. is having a disastrous season after a lights-out rookie year. Now Meyers can walk in and take the #1 receiver job for himself, and if he does that, his 2026 free agency stock will increase yet again. Loser, Breece Hall. After the Jets traded away Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams, it felt inevitable that Hall would be the next player shipped out. But in a mild surprise, the Jets decided to retain Hall for the remainder of the season. It was reported by Connor Hughes of SNY that the Kansas City Chiefs offered a 4th-round pick for Hall, but the Jets wanted a 3rd. KC wouldn't budge, so no deal materialized.
I was told that it was from the Kansas City Chiefs that were willing to trade for Breece Hall. The Jets were steadfast in wanting a 3rd. They were not able to get one, only had a 4th-round offer.
So instead, Hall now has to finish his career year on a lousy Jets team that will not make the playoffs. And though he's in his contract year, do not forget that the Jets have the option to use the franchise tag on him in the offseason. If Hall had gone to a contender like Kansas City, he could have bolstered his production and increased his free agent stock, on top of being able to chase a ring. Would have been a lot easier to pad the stats on a Super Bowl contender with an elite quarterback. But with Justin Fields in the backfield, Hall will have to roll with a massive workload the rest of the way. Winner, Philadelphia Eagles. Say what you want about the A.J. Brown trade rumors, but the Eagles would have never gotten anything close to market value if they moved him. Keeping Brown proves the locker room culture is just fine, and that all parties there are dead set on completing the repeat.
When you're trying to be a great team, it's hard to trade great players. And A.J. Brown's a great player. Feel very lucky to have him on our team, and excited about the second half of the season with him.
Aside from wisely holding on to A.J. Brown, the Eagles bolstered their defense by rolling the dice on former Green Bay Packers All-Pro corner Jair Alexander, who had a nightmare and short-lived stint with the Ravens. All Philly had to do was swap a 6th-rounder for a 7th-rounder to get Alexander, who could very well enjoy a career revival under the guidance of defensive whiz Vic Fangio. After getting Brandon Graham to come out of retirement, the Eagles acquired Miami Dolphins edge rusher Jalen Phillips for only a 2026 3rd-round pick. GM Howie Roseman had to give up minimal assets for 2 potential difference makers on defense. The rest of that core stayed intact, giving Philly the best chance possible to follow the Kansas City Chiefs' footsteps of completing the repeat. Loser, Miami Dolphins. With the Dolphins vying for the 1st overall pick and sure to fire Mike McDaniel soon, this was the ideal opportunity to begin the scorched earth rebuild. Star wide receiver Jalen Waddle could have fetched a nice return. Bradley Chubb and Matt Judon could have netted valuable draft picks and a buyer-heavy market for pass rushing help. And yeah, they would have gotten a very nice haul for Pro Bowl safety Minkah Fitzpatrick. But the only move that interim GM Champ Kelly completed was trading edge rusher Jalen Phillips to the Philadelphia Eagles for a 2026 3rd-round pick. Yeah, you know, that was a pretty good return for an injury-prone pending free agent, but why didn't the Dolphins stay open for business? With so many big-name and valuable trade assets, it's just such a letdown that the Dolphins could only add 1 extra draft pick to their collection for 2026. Winner, Seattle Seahawks. Thanks to Sam Darnold's career year, Jackson Smith-Njigba's rise to superstar, and an elite defense, the Seahawks are in the running for the NFC West Division crown and the conference's top seed. If you wanted to nitpick and just find one little weakness before the deadline, it was maybe a number 2 receiver to help JSN. Well, GM John Schneider did not wait around. On deadline day, he acquired New Orleans Saints deep threat Rashid Shaheed for the bargain price of 4th and 5th-round picks. Shaheed was having a career year on a horrible New Orleans team, and now he goes to a Super Bowl contender where he shall immediately slot in as the number 2. So add it all up, and whoo, Seattle was the big winner in the NFC West. Loser, Trey Hendrickson. For all the heat the Cincinnati Bengals are getting for holding on to Hendrickson, there was clearly no need to sell low on him if they didn't get the offer that they wanted. Ultimately, the main loser here is the 4-time Pro Bowler. Hendrickson never secured the long-term extension that he wanted from Cincy. They continued to ignore his request to be traded, and with Joe Burrow sidelined for most of the year, Hendrickson has another prime season going down the toilet. Another thing that really isn't helping matters, Hendrickson is on pace to finish the season with under 10 sacks, after posting 17.5 in both 2023 and 2024. The Bengals didn't pay Hendrickson during his peak production, and unless he finishes the year on a hot run, it looks like he won't get a top-of-the-market deal in free agency in 2026. No extension, no trade, no chance at the postseason. Hendrickson is a trade deadline loser, and every single aspect. But hey, who do you think were the biggest winners and losers of the 2025 NFL trade deadline? Let us know in the comment section below. If you liked this video and learned a thing or two, then clicking the like button helps us out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea, because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.